You're listening to Where You Live with Gene Sullivan.
This is Where You Live with Gene Sullivan. I'm broadcasting from the Natural Green Lawn and Landscape Studios, brought to you by Extreme Exteriors and American Family Insurance, the Kim Bennett Agency. As an American Family Insurance agent, Kim believes that there's much more to insurance than the policy itself. It's about providing you with dependable protection and services. Kim believes that trust and credibility can't be demanded. It only can be earned by what you say and what you do. Give her a call at 651-482-1598. It's time for a message from the Minnesota Multi-Housing Association. The MHA Minute is brought to you by Start to Finish Maintenance Contractors. Start to Finish provides 24-hour service for all your home and business maintenance needs. Call Start to Finish at 952-259-1219 for your home, for your business, for your peace of mind.
If you're renting out a property for the first time, there's a lot you need to know so that you can do it successfully and, frankly, keep yourself out of trouble. Luckily, there's a statewide resource with all the tools you need to run your new business successfully. In fact, the Minnesota Multi-Housing Association regularly holds a seminar called Accidental Landlord, specifically designed for people who are renting out a property for the first time. They also have residential leases, security deposit agreements, a lead disclosure, and lots of other forms. They even have brochures on the principles of successful property management and the eviction process that you can download for free. So if you want to know more about the Accidental Landlord Seminar or other classes about owning, managing, or maintaining anything from a single unit to a growing apartment portfolio, visit the Minnesota Multi-Housing Association's website, mmha.com. That's two M's, mmha.com.
We're back talking with attorney Brian Toder, an attorney with Chestnut and Cambron. Is that how you pronounce it, Brian?
Yes.
Okay. And you were talking to us a little bit about this story here. And folks, if you're just joining us, out of Douglas County, Colorado, property management company said to the tenants, we're prohibiting you from keeping firearms in your own apartments. And Brian, when we were talking about this prior to the show starting, you made an interesting distinction. You said, now, of course, the government can't prohibit, and that's what the law is about, but you said with an individual and a private party, they can in some cases.
That's right. The constitutional rights that we enjoy, and particularly, for example, the Bill of Rights, they prohibit certain conduct by the government, but they don't necessarily prohibit conduct by corporations. There's things that a corporation or even an individual can do to another individual that are illegal, but they don't implicate the Constitution at all. In this case, though, now that we have the Heller case and we have a whole new view of the Second Amendment, and in the absence of a controlling statute, it's pretty obvious why those who want to be able to have firearms in their own homes would turn to the Constitution. And I say that because, which seems to be a little bit different than what I just said, but the thing is that if you have a company telling an individual that they can't possess firearms in their homes, that could actually implicate the Constitution, because certain matters of public policy are derived and implicate. For example, the law enforcement officers would have to enforce these laws. And then the question is, can a law enforcement officer come in and enforce a contract or a law that was unconstitutional? So to the extent that it's sort of unusual, but the property owner may not be able to, or may be able to put in the contract you can't have guns there, but it is doubtful whether the government could assist him in enforcing that because of the fact that we have a Second Amendment liberty.
And so that's interesting. So let's talk about something specific here for our listeners here. So we talked about the owner of the building has private business, and they are managing the properties that they own. They can say, you know what, I own this building. When you come into my place of business, I'm asking you to prohibit from carrying a firearm. He has the right to do that because it's his building, it's his place of business. But you gave the the instance where if that person were walking through into that building and talking with and wanted to deal with another tenant, that person does not have the right to tell the owner that you can't keep the firearms with you because they're dealing with someone else that's in that building. Is that correct? That's
the law in Minnesota. Yes, that is exactly the law in Minnesota.
Yeah. What's interesting about this particular case, Brian, is that it seems like when we heard that story, the owners of the property were not the management company. The management company was doing a third-party management, so they were doing fee management, and they came to that decision all on their own. They didn't seem to talk to the owners of the property beforehand at all, because it says even in the article and in that story that it says that the apartment property management's gun ban was overturned by the owners. It seems kind of strange, don't you think, that the property management company didn't even consult the owners of the building?
This brings into play a whole new area of law. It has to do with agency law. The property manager is an agent of the owner. And if there are certain things an owner can't do, he can't have somebody else do what he can't or she can't do him or herself. Yeah. So in this case, the property manager is acting sort of like a renegade. They really have to honor the principal agency relationship that they have with the owner of the building.
Yes, it's a fiduciary role. They one of those items is to be obedient, and it seems like there was a big deal here. One aspect here, and it looks like we're kind of running out of time here. Maybe you can talk about, and that is we're dealing with a contract. How about the issue that you have a contract of a lease that's already signed, already agreed upon, and now you're coming in and saying, oh, we're changing the terms of that. Talk about that for a second.
Well, I'm sorry, but in your example, did the lease say that guns are banned, or there's no mention of?
There was no mention of it at all, but then all of a sudden they're saying, now we're saying that this is what you need to do.
Well, the tenant has the right of possession, and the rights of possession are extremely strong. And so if the lease contract doesn't proscribe owning firearms, there's no way a court would agree that the management company can just go in there and change the actual terms of the contract. Now, you will find that virtually all of these lease agreements and all of these tenant contracts state in there that one of the grounds for eviction is having illegal drugs or illegal possession of a firearm, which means that if you're a convicted felon and you happen to have a shotgun in your apartment that you're renting, sure, you can be evicted, and the property management company can enforce that. But
yes,
they can't add terms to these things.
Yeah, you're talking about an illegal activity, which is something else.
That's something else.
Yeah, that's right. Well, hey, Brian, thanks so much for taking some time to be with us on the show today. I really appreciate your thoughts and your time.
Okay. Good luck. Great show.
Thanks. Folks, that was Brian Toder, attorney with Chestnut Cambronne. We want to thank him. Thank you for being with us this last hour. We hope you have a great rest of the weekend. Look forward to seeing you here next Saturday. And coming up, woohoo, the Minnesota State Fair. So have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.
Tough to say goodbye.
I regret to announce this is the end. I'm going now. I bid you all a very fond farewell.